these people who can actually be bullied by this one guy have survived and been able to maintain their farm in unprotected territory. It seems a little bit of a stretch. I mean, I guess the Commonwealth soldiers are coming and calling the Zeds. I don't know. Trying to think about
they might have been within the walls originally or something. Yeah, I guess there's a few things that could. But I agree with you in terms of the kind of suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, exactly. DOSOD, Department of Suspension of Disbelief. All right.
The DOSOD.
So my turn? The DOSOD.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about what Rosita refers to as the CA. So Eugene gets Rosita to check on Stephanie at her place. She pounds on the door. This is the CA. We've been asked to perform a wellness check. I presume CA stands for Commonwealth Authority.
I was going to ask you this. Yes, yeah. That was my assumption.
And by wellness check, I think she was using what's probably a common thing. A wellness check in a community like this is, let me see if you're sick, because if you die, you may turn into a zombie. So we need to put you in a special place, kind of like the campus colony did on World Beyond. You know, they have special protocols for people who are about to turn.
Also, you can do a wellness check just in everyday life for the police as well if you're worried about a neighbour or an elderly person. You can do a
okay. Maybe that's all it was, and I was just reading.
We've had to do one before, but no, I hadn't thought about what you just said, which is that it's a hell of a lot more important in the zombie apocalypse because bloody hell, there's a lot of stakes there if you a lot of stakes there if you don't find them in time.
But I mean, the real point is she's acting like a cop here, Rosita. She even says, "I'll take you down to the station and fill out paperwork." But it's interesting because she has a key to the apartment, and it made me wonder, okay, these guys seem to have a set of master keys and can break in anywhere, or a certain level of society and below she can get in probably. And I was thinking, oh wow, the military and the law enforcement are basically the same people here, which is never a good sign. Like maybe in times of emergency you need to impose martial law, but we're like 12 or 13 years in.
That is actually quite worrying, yeah.
And then Connie started talking about the same thing. She was like, I don't like the militarization of the police. I was like, yeah, I was just thinking that.
She's on to something.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, like would they wear their armor inside the walls of the Commonwealth? I guess it seems like they want to make a point to show that they're lethal, to show to make, I mean, it's always unsettling in my opinion, maybe just because I'm not used to it, when you're walking around in a normal place and you see soldiers with guns.
It's so strange.
To see cops isn't so bad. I
mean, yeah, coming from the UK, it was weird being around police who were armed. Right. I still find that really strange because we don't have it here. But yeah, no, I take your point. It would be unnerving for sure.
And so I think that's part of what Connie doesn't like about this place. She's just not feeling good about her intuition is going, nope, this place is off.
And she's not wrong. I don't think there's something not right.
All right. I guess, that's all I had. That was my last point, by the way. Do you have anything else?
Awesome. I just had a note that Princess was adorable in this episode, that she is a nice friend and she gave a kind performance. And even when she was giving Eugene tough love, I still found her really appealing to watch. And I hope that she gets her little bed, her little job and her little cat and gets to keep them. And I also laughed out loud at the lasagna thing. I thought that was incredibly funny.
So funny. I mean, it's sad because even for poor Eugene, even the lasagna is not real.
I know. I was a bit like, oh, kick him while he's down. I was like, you could tell he was a little bit like, oh, lasagna. And she's like, nah, it's not there. I was like, oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, it's like, oh, everything's really like messed up right now, but at least I have lasagna.
Nah, you don't have that, mate. No lasagna.
I liked Princess too. I love their friendship. And their chemistry seemed really natural, but I did have a little bit of a nitpick that, Eugene is initially kind of lovesick nervous about Stephanie. And she's like, when a woman tells you that she loves you, believe her. And that turned out to be wrong in this case. And then later when Hornsby tells Eugene that this guy Calhoun is a plumber and Eugene's barking up the wrong tree, and Eugene tells the princess, the conspiracy goes further than I thought. And she goes, dude, none of this is happening. Calhoun's a plumber. Maybe it's not that complicated. Again, wrong. Yeah. And what really gets me about that is in the first part of the season, they made a big deal of how she was just observing those 3 soldiers and could extract out all these details about their lives and everything just by her great observational skills. So I feel like it's just a bit out of character that she was like wrong about 2 big things in this episode.
That's really funny. Peter said like exactly the same thing. He's like, oh, or the episode where Princess is wrong about everything. And I'm like, hey, she's so nice. Fair
She's
point.
Great.
I think that is adequate. I think that is a fair point to make. I enjoyed also Connie's doorbell. I thought that was really cool. I know that is a way that people who are hard of hearing can be alerted to someone being at the door, but it was really neat. The
flashing light.
Commonwealth. Yeah, that was just really neat that the Commonwealth set that up for her. And we had a bit of a mention, I think a bit more context to why some of our group are there. You know, Connie and Kelly mentioned that they're there because life doesn't have to be a fight all the time for a little while. So they talk about being there temporarily. And Hornsby explicitly mentions that Alexandria is getting fixed up. So that gives a little bit more context, I think, to why some are there and some aren't, and the kind of stakes that are involved in terms of the community that they've come from and how they might go back.
Yeah, and if this split happens that I mentioned, I could see Connie and Kelly being on the anti-Commonwealth side.
I think Connie is already there, hey?
Yeah, right. Let's see. About the sign language, I enjoyed seeing more sign language. I just watched this movie that I think premiered on Apple TV Plus called Coda. Do you know about that?
Oh, no.
It's actually an Oscar-nominated movie about this girl whose parents and brother are deaf. So I think that's what CODA stands for, Child of Deaf Adults.
Child of Deaf Adults, yeah.
And she's played by Emilia Jones, who was Kinsey on Lock and Key, which is a series I covered with Rima and Paik on Strange Indeed that loved. But she's nominated for an Oscar for that role. And the deaf characters are played by deaf actors on the show and
that's
on the
brilliant.
movie. And there's long stretches of scenes where they're all communicating just from sign language. And I haven't really seen much of that before. And it's really interesting to think, okay, because they're a family, right? So they're arguing a lot. But instead of getting louder, they're getting more erratic in their movements, and sharp. And their facial expressions change, but it's so different to me that your face changes, but your voice isn't getting louder. It's really interesting because communication is really so much more than words. It's body language, so much of it.
There was a really sweet moment where I think Connie was being like sarcastic with Kelly about like listening to her or something. And I just thought these two are brilliant together. And Lauren Ridloff does so much with no sound at all. She
got that look on her face like, oh, okay.
Yeah, sure. Okay. No. I love it. I think it's so compelling to watch.
Yeah. And I loved when Connie, because Connie, I feel like she's a little bit out of character too, because she's kind of the one who's being a little more cautious, and Kelly is, the other way around. I'm sorry. Kelly is being a little more cautious, and Connie's like pushing the envelope, and Kelly seems to be like, hey, that's not what they told you to say, when Connie's saying some things that might get them in trouble, and Kelly doesn't interpret it right away. Like she looks nervous, and then Connie finishes what she's saying and sees that Kelly's not saying anything and just like stares at her like, are you going to say it or what?
It's I was thinking, what an awkward position where you're like,
right.
I really don't want to
kind of like
them.
Do you know David Letterman?
The late night show. Yeah.
So they had this segment where they'd put a speaker in some poor like intern's ear and send him down to like the deli, and then David Letterman would tell him in his ear what to say. And I forget what it was, but it would be really, really embarrassing stuff that no one would ever want to say in front of anyone.
Oh, like God. Oh, boy.
But I enjoyed all that, all the stuff with just their communication, just watching them communicate. There's a couple quotes from other movies when Moto says, or like Lance Hornsby has Moto taken away, and he says, "Mother Puss Bucket." That's what Bill Murray said in Ghostbusters.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you about that. I was like, so they can't say motherfucker then?
I don't know. I think they only get like one fuck per season or something. I don't know. And then when Princess says it's cool that Eugene is doing so much for Stephanie, and he goes, strike that, reverse that. I know from Willy Wonka, he's saying, we have to get on. We have so much time and so little to do. Strike that, reverse it. This way, please.
That's a good catch. I would never have got that.
And then the last thing I wanted to mention is actually from last week's episode. We talked about that scene with Magna and Rosita where Magna says, this place is like a city from before you remember. And Rosita says, yeah, I do. Remember that?
Yes.
But I watched it again for some reason. I forget why. And I caught a little something that I didn't notice at first, which is that Magna's being judgmental of Rosita there.
Yes.
Because she's saying, you remember what it was like before? And he goes, Rosita says, yeah, I do. And Magna goes, and you're doing, and touches the sleeve of her uniform and says, this. And so I think she's like, you're on the side of, you're on the wrong side here.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of interesting. And that just made me a cop. Yeah. And that just made me think about what I already mentioned, that I feel like there's a division among our people coming up here.
I think so. Absolutely. And it's interesting to see Rosita on the other side of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And who knows? I mean, hopefully by the end of it, they'll all come back together and give each other hugs and sing Kumbaya.
I think that's very likely. I'm pretty sure that's exactly how the show will end.
And then somebody will say, zombies!
Zombies! And then that'll be that.
That'll be it. Then let the spin-offs commence.
Huzzah!
All right. I guess that's it, huh?
I think it is, yeah.
All right. We will take a little break. There's more to come. Stay with us.
Obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens.
The people it kills get up and kill.
Are they slow-moving, Chief?
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
This is a Walking Dead Cast news update.
All right. Decider talked with Josh McDermott, plays Eugene. They said, broadly speaking, what was it like to get to do this noir Chinatown style episode with Eugene at the center? He says, that was really cool because I like noir. I'm into neo-noir stuff. You know, Mike Cudlitz directed the episode. He and I talked a lot about that. I think that this show does a good job at playing with genre. And this is honestly the first time we've done this, I believe. So that was exciting. So he's into it.
Yay.
They said, I know Michael Cudlitz has directed a number of episodes, but there's a very brief Rosita Eugene scene in here. And I couldn't help but think Abraham's behind the camera the entire time. What was it like having a mini reunion for that core trio? He says, yeah, that was really cool. We were all wishing that it was longer and more and could have done more. We loved having Mike back, and he's a dear, dear friend. He brings a lot of intelligence and expertise to the show. I just thought that was nice.
Oh, that's lovely.
They mentioned real Stephanie shows up at the end, and she's been peppered throughout the season so far in different episodes, mostly in the background. So what's it been like teasing this secret out? He says, it's one of those things that Margot Bingham, the actress, and I were wondering when we were finally going to get to do a scene together. Even with the voiceover or the radio stuff, she hadn't been cast when we shot Eugene's stuff. So I actually had Avinash, who played Sadiq, read her lines for me.
Oh,
God bless him. I thought he did a great job.
I would love to hear that duet of,
I know.
Iron Maiden.
Singing Iron Maiden too.
Oh my god, that would be beautiful.
And they go, and just to double check, is there a third Stephanie out there? Is everyone secretly Stephanie? He says, yeah, eventually it's just like a bunch of clones. That's how we end the series. We find out that there's just a bunch of clones named Stephanie.
Rick was Stephanie the whole time.
Entertainment Weekly talked with Angela Kang. It's a long one, but I just thought one question was particularly interesting. They asked, what is it that finally makes Stephanie/Shira finally extract herself from Eugene? She said, it's getting a little too close. A little time has passed, and our people at this point in the story, they've all settled in and everything's going all right. And from Hornsby's perspective, he's like, what's even the problem? I mean, aren't we all working well together? So that's his mindset. And so they extracted her, and she extracted herself just to make sure that this fiction didn't have to keep on continuing. So I guess that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, they'd gone too far.
Yep. All right. And then the last item, they have announced another spin-off series. It has characters from the main series. So as I mentioned, this is where the spoiler comes. If you don't want to know, because then you'll know more people who make it out alive, you should skip ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So from Variety.com, they say, The Walking Dead continues to live on at AMC with the network greenlighting a spinoff centered on Maggie and Negan.
No! Why? It's not a joke. It's true.
Why? Is it April 1st?
Are they trolling us now? I don't get it. Why?
I mean, so I'll read from the article. It says both Lauren Cohan and Jeffrey Dean Morgan will return for the spinoff, which is currently titled Isle of the Dead. That's ISLE, not AISLE.
Or I love the dead.
I love the dead. The 6-episode series will see the two characters traveling into a post-apocalyptic Manhattan long ago cut off from the mainland. The crumbling city is filled with the dead and denizens who have made New York City their own world full of anarchy, danger, beauty, and terror. Eli Journay is the writer and showrunner. Journay has worked as a writer on The Walking Dead for multiple seasons. Cohen and Morgan will also serve as executive producers. Scott Gimple will oversee it. Gimple said, Eli has created a chaotic, beautiful, grimy madhouse of the dead for Negan, Maggie, and fans of the show eager to discover an unseen and insane world of the Walking Dead universe. Lauren and Jeffrey have always been fantastic collaborators, and now we bring that collaboration to the next level with a series that will take these characters to their limits. Yeah, past their limits with the world and each other. All of us are thrilled to take you on an all new, all different Walking Dead epic for the ages, expected to debut in 2023, next year. It says it's a 6-episode series, but I don't know if that means it's just a mini series or a full series. I haven't heard it explicitly said that it's one season, but I also haven't heard it said that it's more than one.
I've been a bit confused about that as well.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, Manhattan sounds great. I love the idea of zombies in the city. I always have wanted them to do more of that in the show. I presume they didn't because of it would cost more. So if they can do it well, I like that part. But I would rather see like Aaron and Abraham in Manhattan, or Judith and Gracie, maybe. I don't know, Dog. And, I mean, any other two characters.
Any two. And it's no, do you know, it's no shitting on either of their performances.
Neither one of them.
The actors. No. Neither of them.
Nope.
Great.
Even either of the characters.
Had a feeling that Negan might get a spin-off, because I was just like, that would make sense. I can see that happening. It ties in with a lot of stuff, but the two of them together, like, God no, like I just we've seen it and it sucked. Like it was really boring.
It was hard to watch for me. I mean, I do not want to cover this show because I'm sick of talking about Maggie and Negan's relationship, and I can just feel through the internet that you are all sick of hearing me talk about it. So, but it's an important thing, and if we're still podcasting about The Walking Dead next year, I'm just gonna see about having someone else do it. I don't know about you, Lucy. If you're welcome to do it if you want, but I won't be there.
I might give it a go, but I just don't know.
Yeah.
It could be great. It could be, I mean, it's like Batman. It could be great. It could be terrible.
I'll be watching for sure.
Yeah, couldn't they pick characters with just less baggage? Like fucking Negan and Carol, Maggie and Daryl, something different, but I don't know why they would want to prolong that. Is one of them going to get amnesia? Are they going to fall in love? Like, I don't,
please.
just
will there be like this tension that runs through the whole series that we just saw in the last 8 episodes?
Oh crap, I hope not. I'm glad it's not just me who's a bit like no.
I mean, like, I always have this feeling like Maggie should never want to hang out with Negan, and if the more she opens herself up to thinking that Negan may be an okay guy, the sicker I feel. So I
completely agree.
Don't want to have to talk about that, and I know some people don't agree with me and don't want to hear me talking about it. So I feel like give someone else a shot to talk about those ones.
Yeah, let's see what happens. It's also just like spoiling who lives. Like
that's true.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, well, they make it, I guess. Like, yeah. It's not my favorite piece of news to come out of The Walking Dead in recent years. Let's put it that way.
Yep. All right, that is it for all the news. Let's move on to listener moans, groans, and grunts.
Megan Dively Lehman, who was not in the bathroom or peeing last week when she left a voicemail, I feel obliged to say that because we did make fun of her, and it was not true. She was standing by a fish tank. So, Megan, you are exonerated from that accusation.
I was curious. I thought, it was 50-50, but okay. Thanks for setting it straight.
I can only report what I've been told. Megan says, what really struck me about this episode was how some of the shots were framed and filmed. I thought it was very interesting to watch. Michael Cudlitz was the director, and I think that was a brilliant move to put him on a Eugene-centric episode, since obviously he worked closely with Josh McDermott during his time on the show and knows how to best spotlight his talents. The melted ice cream scene was absolutely pitiful. It should become a well-travelled meme. I truly thought that after all that airtime, there was a good chance Eugene would die, but I'm glad he didn't. Now we get to learn about the real Stephanie, who I guess is Mercer's sister. Remember, in the Commonwealth, love means never having to say you're sorry for pretending to like your partner's shitty taste in music.
That's good. Wyman Owen says, hi, Jason and Lucy. Well, I really enjoyed this episode. Princess and Porter private investigators are on the case.
I like that.
They did so well with all of it. And although I've never been stood up before, I'd imagine it would look like that. Despair and melted ice cream. I think this was one of Eugene's best. I've been stood up. Yeah, does look like that. I think this was one of Eugene's best episodes. And I had a feeling that quote unquote Stephanie was an imposter. Mercer is such a badass. And what's up with that armored vehicle? Bet it could go toe-to-toe with Althea and the MRAP. Kick-ass ride for sure. Lastly, I didn't like Carol hanging out with Bruce Hornsby on the range. Didn't really get it. Maybe next episode. And in the event, Lucy is reading this purple burglar alarm. Can't wait to hear y'all's thoughts.
Purple burglar alarm. Alarm. Hey, I was in Glasgow last week, so I was hanging out with all the purple burglar alarm people. Ashley Edward Wolf says, hi guys, I really liked this episode. It was different. It had that old black and white private investigator feel. My heart broke for Eugene. Why can't this guy catch a break and find happiness and love? Josh should win all the rewards for his performance. Michael is a fantastic director. I always enjoy the way he shoots his episodes. Oh, I forgot that Red Glasses Stephanie is not real Stephanie. It's all coming back to me now. Those bonus episodes from season 10 were so long ago. always love Princess. I have a little job and a little apartment, and I'm going to get a little cat. Mercer isn't in with secret government dealings. Interesting. He'll be joining the rebellion. Max, the real Stephanie, is Mercer's sister. I think that's what I heard. What is that list of names and who gave it to Connie? Mercer? A list of people who have vanished? I cannot tell if Lance Hornsby is good or bad. I just can't get a read on this guy. He's so sly and sneaky, but he's done a lot for our survivors. I just don't know. Down with the Commonwealth! Oh, well, Ashley's picked a side.
Mark Nichols says, I will admit, as much as there were things I liked about this episode, there were more that annoyed me than I liked. I'm curious to see if Jason agrees with me, but a Eugene-centric episode is not at all what I wanted. His backcountry comic book talk works in small doses, but I quickly ran out of patience with not talking like a human. Why can someone so smart not just communicate? Nope, I didn't agree. I liked it. And there hasn't been a lot of Eugene lately, so I was curious, like, wait, Eugene's the one who led them here, and I want to find out what's up with him and Stephanie. So I was actually welcoming this just on a plot level, and then I enjoyed the format and everything. Mm-hmm. But hey, it's all very subjective. So he goes on. The question about love Princess gave him was answered with a 2-minute incoherent hillbilly ramble that no one would ever say in real life. I actually fell asleep twice in this episode, and it was always when he was babbling on about nothing. Now, there are some great elements to this. Mercer. Wow, what a beautiful man. His axe through the head was the zombie kill of the week for sure. Yeah, totally. I was okay with Carol's behavior, but it just seemed like Alexandria Carol Part 2. Maybe in a 24-episode season, they're trying to stretch too much. First, way too much Reapers, and then repeating the notes of past seasons. Now, the ending was a little predictable, and you had talked about it before, but I love that we now know who Stephanie is. Not convinced about that evil group at the end makes sense. What? I don't understand.
Not convinced that evil group at the end makes sense?
Oh, not convinced that
Maybe?
the evil group at the end makes sense. What evil group?
There's an about that shouldn't be there, but yeah.
Hornsby does not seem that diabolical, and the henchman and the plumber storefront seems like a stretch. Yes, caste system and those fighting back, but this element's not so much. I was so excited for this episode coming out and was really let down. A swing and a miss after that home run last week.
Oh, sorry to hear that, Mark.
Yeah.
Good points, though. Shannon from the UK. I obviously had to get my thoughts in for this episode as Eugene's #1 fan, so I hope I got there in time for your podcasts. You did, Shannon. The very beginning I was thinking, this is a dream. Eugene never gets this kind of happiness, and of course that happiness was short-lived. As for the rest of the episode, it was absolutely heartbreaking seeing my sweet Eugene go through all this trouble to find someone who was fake after all. Guess I was wrong. The Jim Carrey lookalike wasn't wrong, though. The community seem better off where they are for the moment. But that ending, although everyone else seems to have predicted it, still had me lean forward and gasp in surprise. All in all, Josh McDermott's performance was fantastic and definitely rocking those grey hair streaks. And shout out to Princess because she's friggin' amazing. I'm actually a little sad that she was introduced so late into the series because I would love to see more of her. Shannon, I quite agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I dug that ending too, even though I kind of thought that Max was actually Stephanie. But I do wonder what took her 2 months to reveal that to Eugene.
I think also, someone's got something on her.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
And how did the others
keep quiet?
Like, didn't Eugene notice? Well, I guess, okay, if you're right that Max filled them in on all the details, Lance Hornsby and the Shira who posed as Stephanie, then maybe she would have enough details to be able to convince Eugene that she was the one he was talking to on the radio. And if he ever got suspicious, she could just give him a kiss and flash a smile.
Well, at least a smile. You wonder when they were walking around town why people weren't like, "Hey, Shira." Oh, I mean Stephanie.
That's true. Well, I guess it's a big place. I don't know. Maybe she's from some other part
Yeah,
of
there's
town.
like more than 5 people there, so it's probably fine.
Ellie Simmons says, "Hi, Jason and Lucy. These were my thoughts throughout the episode." She kind of did a live Steve in text format. She says, very sweet seeing Eugene in a relationship. I'm so glad she said, I love you back. Looking back on this, I spoke too soon. I really enjoy, sorry, that's not nice. I really enjoy seeing these characters having a semi-normal life. It almost feels like a different show, but not in a bad way. Loving this storyline. I'm right there with you. The way the Commonwealth brings back classes so that no one is equal anymore is a good way to change up the dynamic of the group, as they used to all be fairly equal. It gives different characters their time to shine. It also just proves the way we live in today's society is effed up. The bald guy was rude. These walkers seem way more aggressive. Not wanting to break into that guy's apartment because they might get in trouble is so funny to me because of what the show is normally like. Mother Puss Bucket, nice. Love that Connie has a door light instead of a doorbell. I really enjoy the scenes where it's just Connie and Kelly. That performance from Josh McDermott, so good. It was her, I knew it.
Nice, Ellie. Kelly Burgess says, I haven't liked these first 3 episodes very much. Episode 9 just had so many continuity issues that took me out of it. 10 was better. It was interesting learning more about the Commonwealth. Then 11 focused so much on Eugene and Carol that I just didn't care for it. Neither of them are my favourite characters. I was interested in the Connie storyline, but I got a little frustrated not knowing what was being said most of the time. I'm sure it was intentional to add to the mystery of everything, but it was annoying. I'm hoping that I start liking episodes more because it's been disappointing feeling this way about the show in the final season. I will say that I tend to feel better about them after listening to the podcast, even if I sometimes wonder if we're watching the same thing. Oh, Kelly, glad to be of service.
Kelly's going to love the Maggie and Negan hour. I can just feel it. Christy Coppedge says, I just knew it. I knew Stephanie wasn't Stephanie, and that cute glasses assistant girl was the real one. She made Isaac Eugene at the ice cream truck. Enjoying digging deeper into what's really going on at the Commonwealth. Hopefully Rick is hidden somewhere. LOL. And last but not least, more Daryl and Connie, please.
Aww. Lisa Edmondson Walker says, wow, that was so much in one episode. Carol's part almost seemed like some scenes were missing, but maybe that was intentional. Poor Eugene. Even expecting some of the deception didn't prepare me for the way his devastation played out. That was so painful to watch, and Lance was super creepy with the light and shadow soulless delivery when talking to Eugene. Ooh, light and shadow soulless delivery. I like that.
Evan Brookman says, maybe an unpopular opinion, but I'd have been okay if what's-his-face on the stairs had turned back around and said, sorry, Eugene, you're a loose end we can't afford. Pow! One right between the eyes. No suffering, sniveling, crying, just end of arc.
Loose ends make my ass itch.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Nathan Eshelman says, here's the biggest prediction I've been building for this season. Connie builds up her relationship with Daryl, but snooping too much into Commonwealth's affairs gets her killed. For one reason or another, Ezekiel doesn't get the surgery and he ends up passing as well. The shared grief between best friends Carol and Daryl makes them want to finally go through with their goal of getting the hell out of town and starting somewhere fresh, thus leading to the Carol and Daryl spin-off show. It's a very grief-stricken theory, but I'm trying to piece together why they leave their lives behind to go off on their own. Makes sense to me, Nathan?
Yep.
I hope it doesn't, but it could.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, well, gosh, I don't know. Like, I was going to say, if Connie is anti-Commonwealth and Daryl is pro-Commonwealth, that would put them in two sides of a conflict, but then Daryl would be in the Commonwealth and not off on his own, so I don't know. Maybe Daryl and Carol will just be at the Commonwealth for their whole series.
It's really just a very procedural Commonwealth show.
Yeah, and also a bakery.
Yeah.
Tammy Barr says, this episode was kind of interesting and I like the noir aspects, but I didn't love it. I would give it 3.2 spools of red yarn out of 5. While I'm providing feedback, I did want to let you know that I loved your podcast for last week's episode. You guys were so funny, and at times I felt like you were actually in the car with me as I drive around Seattle. It was just a really fun recording. Thanks for all the effort you put into producing a high-quality, entertaining podcast. No need to read your own accolades in the listener feedback session. Just wanted to let you know.
Oops, we read them anyway.
Sorry, I didn't see that ahead of time.
Uh-oh.
Thank you, Tammy.
Oh, thanks, Tammy. Finally, Danielle Dement Yost says, I need to rewatch and then put together my thoughts, but right now all I have is Mother Puss Bucket. Amazing.
So we got a bunch of calls, which is awesome. There's a few that are longer, and I'm going to play them all because I love to hear from you guys. But I think as we go on and we start getting more calls, I'm going to start more strictly enforcing, if you could please try to keep them to around a minute and a half or 2 minutes at most, just so the whole thing doesn't go on forever, but I do want to hear from a lot of you, and I love it when you call in. So here's the first one from Owen.
Hi, Jason and Lucy. This is Owen from Leeds. I've watched season 11, episode 11 of The Walking Dead. And I'm not going to lie, I feel like I should have probably watched it a second time before recording this. Also, side note, Lucy, you always seem to big up my accent, so you've got a lovely accent and a lovely voice too, as do you too, Jason. Very dashing. Anyway, weird old episode. I think I liked it. I'm not sure. Well, actually, it was a weird old one, yeah. It was kind of like a CSI criminal investigation sort of episode. I thought it was really fun at first with Eugene and Princess, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, this sort of conspiracy with the quote unquote plumber. And then obviously fake Stephanie is part of this maybe underground movement. And is this movement with Hornsby, is this the same as the underground movement that the Soldier's part of, or are we thinking there's like a separate one? So potentially are we going to look at Team Commonwealth, Team Hornsby and the gang and fake Stephanie, and then Team Mercer, Carol, Eugene, Daryl? And also it was nice that the girl who came to see Eugene at the end, if I remember right, I might be wrong, but was she the one serving ice cream when they first arrived at the Commonwealth? As in earlier this season,
getting ice cream.
Because I myself thought that sounded more like serving Stephanie on the recordings, when she were doing the calls with Eugene. So yeah, is that her? So it's very interesting. There's a lot of crazy shit going on, but yeah, I'd say a good episode. I think. Yeah, do you know what? There's a lot of talking points. Good fun. And I'm intrigued. And how nice is it not having the oh god, what were they called? The Reachers? The Preachers? Oh, Pope's group with Leah. I can't remember their name now. Reapers. Who gives a shit? They were terrible. Anyway, it's nice not watching Fear the Walking Dead as well. Hope you're both well. Love your shows. And yeah. Keep well, guys. Cheers. Bye-bye.
I thought he was going to do a zombie sound there.
Oh, if only.
Have we got one from him? Yeah, come on.
Oh, I think we did. I think you did in the first one.
Probably,
Thanks, Owen.
The Reachers. Yeah, that'd be good.
The Reachers.
The Reacher.
The bummers. As in, they are massive bummers.
Yeah, I think, he's asking about the different underground groups. I think there's a group of dissatisfied rebels, and I think there's Hornsby, and his group is kind of like clandestine government affairs, like the CIA or something.
I think that's what I'm leaning towards. I think I might need my own pinboard with the string, though.
Exactly. Okay, here is Robin Springer.
Good morning, Jason and Lucy. This is Robin from Georgia. First of all, I just want to say your website is gorgeous. And here I am trying the voice recording for the first time.
Awesome.
I hope it goes through. I'm not really sure. But this week's episode, I have kind of mixed feelings about it. I love more Kelly and Connie. I think, they're great. And they're, going to uncover some interesting things, I'm sure. Mercer and his sister and the mystery surrounding him, very interesting also. The Commonwealth is making morphine. What has Carol gotten herself into this time? And what was up with that arrest? I didn't really understand what was going on with that. As for Eugene, I don't know. I feel like the very nature of Eugene and the music that they used and some of the camera angles and some of the things that they did gave it a little bit of a tinge of, I don't know, rather than just straight up neo-noir like Angela Kang was talking about. It reminded me a little bit of the X-Files episode Jose Chung's From Outer Space, to be honest.
Oh,
It
yes.
just kind of gave it a little bit of a tinge of I don't know, not comedy, but not the seriousness that it really needed, I think, in some places, not in all. And of course, Eugene at the end when he's yelling his despair and frustration and heartbrokenness to Lance, Josh McDermott always nails those beautifully. And Lance is just such a cipher, such an enigma. I don't really know what to think about that. But anyway, here we go. I'm so glad to be back with The Walking Dead. I really missed it. And as I was watching it the second time, I was thinking about how far we've come from the beginning and the people that we were so, I speak for myself, so in love with. I mean, every week I was just always sitting on the couch thinking to myself, someone I love is going to die. And now we've just got this completely different story. It's really been an amazing 10 years, 11 years, I guess, to watch this show from beginning to end. But anyway, great podcast as always. I'm sure it will be, last week's was great. I'm sure this week will be great. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye, y'all.
Thank you, Robin.
Oh,
Robin's been a listener for a long
lovely
time.
message. Oh, we love you, Robin.
Yeah, and I think about that too, how I was thinking about that just watching this episode, like, wow, we're watching a neo-noir and remembering back to like the first season of The Walking Dead out at camp with Daryl swearing up a storm and everything.
Oh, it's nuts, isn't it, how far it's come? It's mad,
Right.
It's really mad.
It's crazy. Okay, here is one from Steve Brown.
Hey, Walking Dead cast, this is Steve. This is for Rogue Element, and something I just caught. I just started watching it for the first time, and because I last night recorded my live Steve for New Haunts, there's a line in the preview that we didn't get, unless I totally missed it in the previous episode, where Magnus says, this city is like a city before, but instead of stopping there, she now says, people who don't fit in, get cast out. I don't know if anybody else caught that or not.
Hey, starting my second watch, and I did review, and yeah, that line, people who don't fit in get cast out, isn't there. Aw, she said I love you back. Aw, but it's so sad because I already watched it. Of seeing Connie here doing her reporter thing, and it's great to see her really trying to do something hard-hitting, but this publisher's just not having it. That's an interesting statement, Lance. He doesn't run the city, but he knows how it runs. Swarmy as Lance is, he really is a good judge of character, the fact that he's figured out that Carol is way more than she puts out there. I love Princess. Oh yeah, I didn't make lasagna, just people have to let you in if you're carrying food. Caught it on my first watch, and I had to actually look it up to watch The Untouchables. But that 1634 Racine, that's a callback to the movie The Untouchables. That was Sean Connery's address in that movie. Rogue Element, he said the title of the episode. Mic drop. Ew, that's just wicked. Split that zombie's head in half. And look at Mercer all covered in blood. Ew. Oh, so the governor's assistant is Mercer's sister. I got a little job, got a little bed, I might get a little cat. Oh, those are definitely not plumber's tools in that case. More like Dexter tools. Oh, Mercer's not as important as he thinks he is. It's a go bag? What? Some people are thinking of this as a temporary stay here in the Commonwealth and some more permanent. I guess that's what is going to unfold over the next 5 episodes left. Their community is getting fixed. We haven't seen that yet, though. We haven't seen Alexandria or the Hilltop yet. I mean, except for what's going to happen between Maggie and Daryl in 5 months from now, I guess. A cell where he's able to burn things? Hey, this is the real Stephanie? This is not a cell. He's just outside. And isn't that the governor's assistant? Oh. All right. Talk to you later.
That was a good one, Steve.
Nice, Steve.
Yeah, I did notice that that scene, was it Magnus said people that don't fit in get cast out, and that was not in the episode, and then they played it in scenes from before or whatever previously on. I think that must
You're
be
so
an error,
right.
because you don't want to play something like that wasn't actually in the episode.
No, I mean, that's mad.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, what if she farted or something? I don't know. Anyway, okay, here's Gregory Schwam.
Hey, Jason, Lucy, this is Greg, calling about the whatever we're on now, the one with Eugene, Rogue Element. The recurring theme, Mercer is still playing fast and loose with bodily fluids. There's a lot of blood literally all over him and his face. I'm glad we got the answer on Eugene's secret agent, Stephanie. I thought that was pretty well done. And ratcheting up the tension. There's a lot of physical feats that we are not seeing, like the Aaron getting out of the basement, and now Princess climbing up that really, really tall pipe. Lastly, I thought that Josh McDermott was great in this. I thought he did really, really well,
good.
And he was very well put together. All right, talk to you later. Bye.
Yep.
Hey, Greg.
Can't disagree with any of that.
Absolutely.
Couple more. Both of the next two calls are for last week's episode. Here's Anwen.
Anwen.
Hey guys, I really liked this episode. My favourite thing is cookie baking Carol. I just love when she pulls out that whole ha ha ha, oh silly me kind of thing, and it's just really cool to see her with some more screen time. I did find it a little bit implausible that there was a random wine cellar with thousands of dollars worth of wine just sitting outside the walls that anyone could grab. I thought either the Commonwealth would have ransacked that and stocked their cellars, or outside people would have ransacked it. So it was a little bit convenient, but I'll go with it because I really liked Carol's interactions. I loved seeing Rosita again and some of her story, and I did like overall just seeing how they're kind of integrating into the Commonwealth. I really enjoy watching anything with Mercer. I think he's awesome. And I do think that he and Daryl might find quite an alliance together. Obviously, a little bit bonded in their hatred of Sebastian, who has just got the most punchable face, and I can't wait for stuff to happen with him, although not having read the comics but having heard some rumours about it, I am a little bit worried. I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, thanks guys, see ya.
Thanks, Anwen.
Anwen.
And last, I think, first time caller, Kier.
Hey, Jason and Lucy, this is Kier from Chicago. First time calling in, and this message is probably late. But anyways, just wanted to say I was really enjoying the start of 11B and having the two of you back talking about The Walking Dead. Wanted to call in about episode 10, New Haunts, and I really just thought this was New Haunts, but a lot of old ghosts. There were so many beats that echoed the past and just reminded me of, way back when Rick and company arrived to the gates of Alexandria. And there were just so many beats that just paralleled with their time there in Alexandria. From, this time around, seeing Daryl with Judith and RJ reminded me of Rick pulling up to the gates, and hearing the children playing and him having to find a way to make it work for Carl and Judith. And instead of Aaron's sad little pitch with jars of applesauce, we've got the Commonwealth rolling up to the gates with barrels of food and stormtroopers. Makes me wish that Sasha had survived to be next to Maggie drawing weapons once again. Oh. And instead of Rick and Michonne having to decide to buy in and enforce the rules around Alexandria, we've got a slightly more evolved Daryl and Rosita grappling with the same choices. We've got, Deanna's welcome cocktail party versus the Governor Milton's gala. And of course, we've got Carol just being Carol, which I always love. She can be any piece on the chessboard any day of the week. But mainly, I love the contrast and the perceived value that our group is bringing to each community. When they arrived at Alexandria, They were all practically in a near feral state, and they were ushered in and elevated because they were valued as the future. They had what it took to prepare a community that was holding so tight to the past for a darker reality that laid out beyond their walls. And now our group, once again, in survival mode, they're trying to integrate into a new society. Yet everything that was once valued as their strengths are now seen as skills of the past, a past of the brutal decade the Commonwealth is moving away from. And they're totally embracing the vestiges of the past. Well, at least the elites there in the community are. But our team has, learned a few new tricks over the past few years. So I cannot wait to see where Angela King is going with the story. Yeah. After all, our group's superpower is adapting and surviving at all cost. And they've, learned one or two new things along the way. That and their superpower of having the anti-Midas touch to every community they've ever encountered. So there's that. So good luck, Commonwealth. Thanks again. Love you guys. Bye.
Thanks, Kier. That was really good.
Oh, it's awesome, Kier.
It's interesting because we kind of talked about that last week about how there were echoes of past storylines, but the big difference here was the focus on class, that we haven't really had before. But what you just mentioned that I thought was really interesting is how things that they've valued as strengths are seen as only needed in the past. And I think that is true, except for perhaps whoever joins what I think is the Commonwealth Authority. They still need their zombie killing skills. But I also kind of appreciate that they haven't focused too much on people feeling like, oh, I don't fit in here because I'm just a zombie killer and I don't have any other skills. No, they've really just taken whatever these people used to do pre-ZA and plugged them right in. And they're just not missing a beat, Connie's a reporter again, and Carol's, she's actually using skills that she's honed over the last several years. But anyway, it's really fascinating how you get to see maybe them being more who they were before the zombie apocalypse. Maybe, I don't know.
They just haven't had that. Yeah, they haven't had that kind of environment to explore that, and it's so fascinating to watch. Right. Kier put it really well, though. Yeah.
Kier, you have a way with words. I hope you call it again.
Absolutely.
And we did get a couple of emails that weren't exactly related to the current episodes, but I thought we'd read those. Go ahead.
Great. So first from Rachel Rosado, she says, "Hi, I found your podcast a few months ago and have been really enjoying it." Oh, thank you. I love your format and how you really seem to enjoy the series. I was listening to the latest podcast on the way home yesterday, and you were discussing how Daryl is basically Judith and RJ's foster father. It got me thinking, if Daryl and Carol are going to be taking off together somewhere in the future, what happened to Judith and RJ? Are they still with us? Does a parent return? I just can't imagine that the writer would shuffle these children off to yet another parent, nor can I imagine that the new series will happen so far off into the future that Judith and RJ are of an age to be able to care for themselves. Very curious. Can't wait to find out what happens. That's a good point, actually, Rachel.
Yeah, what do you think?
I hope a parent returns. I can't imagine Daryl leaving them, but also I couldn't imagine Michonne doing it, and she did, so here we are.
And Daryl told Judith a while back, I might not always be around, but people care about you.
Yeah, I mean, Daryl really signed his own insurance policy there, didn't he? I might want to go on holiday sometime, kids, so chill.
Just be ready for that. No, I hope, I hope Rick and or Michonne return. That's what I hope. And last, Carol from Salisbury, Maryland says, "I've been watching The Walking Dead from the very beginning. I was intrigued by the promos back in 2010, but when I saw the little girl Walker in the parking lot turn around and shuffle towards Rick and ultimately get shot by a grown man, I knew I was watching something on a whole other level. The barn scene is still the most I've ever been affected by a TV show. I'm telling you this because as an avid fan of the show, never missed an episode, I seek out every podcast and YouTube review I can find after every show. Of all I listen to and watch, yours is my favorite. Jason and Lucy seem like old friends to me. They're kind and funny, and as a boomer, I appreciate their level of knowledge and insightfulness that is often lacking when young people produce a podcast. Thank you for being you." Thank you.
Thanks
But Lucy's quite young, I should say. But
thanks for calling us young. I like that. That makes me feel young. Oh, that's lovely. Thanks, Carol. Good
Thank
for you.
Guys. Yeah, those are really nice messages. Yeah. Everybody who sent messages. In fact, I almost feel bad for telling you to keep your calls short because all the calls were great too.
Yeah, I know. We're just so lucky.
Yes, we are.
Dave Carmichael.